Hey guys, in this video I'm going to show you how to use CouchDB with a Node.js application. Alright, now this is kind of a continuation from my CouchDB basics video where we installed CouchDB, we created a database, we connected through curl and added some documents. So I would suggest that you watch that first. But if you don't want to, that's alright. We're going to just recreate the database. I already deleted the one we created. It's going to be the same type of thing. We're going to list customers. So let's go ahead and click Create Database. And I'm going to call this Customers. Alright, and then, excuse me, what we want to do is create a document. So we'll say New Doc. And we're going to add a name. Let's add an email. We'll say jdoe@gmail. And let's do an address. And the address is actually going to be an object. Okay, so in this object we'll have a street. Main Street. And the city. And state. And that's good. Alright, so there is our customer. Let's go ahead and click Create Document. And now we have a customer. Alright, and if we click this docs, we can see the rest of the fields. So I'm going to copy this and we're going to create one more. So let's say New Doc. And we'll put a comma here and then paste it in. And let's change this. Change the address. Say Congress Street. City. We'll say New York. New York. Alright. Oh, we need the curly brace there as well for the address. Alright, so now we have these two customers in our customers database. So what we want to do now is create a view. Alright, so if we go to New View, and let's call this, we'll call it all underscore customers. Okay, and then for the index name, let's just call it all. Now, this is going to be a map reduce function, although we're not going to use the reduce. And what this is doing is basically it's going to emit a key value pair. So right now it's going to emit the ID. The document ID is the key, and then just the number 1 is the value, which obviously isn't very useful. So instead of the number 1, we want to return an object with the different fields. So we'll say name, which will be doc.name, and let's do email, which will be doc.email, and we'll do address, which will be doc.address. Alright, now I also want to add the revision ID, because when we delete it, we actually have to include the revision. So we're going to put another one called doc, actually not doc, we're going to call it rev, and we're going to set it to doc._rev. Alright, so that should do it. Let's go ahead and click create. And the rev ID field I was talking about is, let's see, right here. Alright, we need that if we want to update or delete a record or a document. So we should be all set as far as our database. So now we're going to go and create the Node.js application. Now you will need Node.js. If you don't have it, just go to nodejs.org and download it, install it, and you should be all set. Alright, now I'm going to create inside my projects folder, I'll create a folder called, we'll call it Couch Customers. Alright, so Couch Customers, and we need to open up a command line. Okay, and I'm just going to navigate to that folder, which is in projects. Alright, so we need to create a package.json file. So we can do that with npm init. And as long as you have Node.js installed, you should have npm. And let's just enter through this. Description, we'll say simple customer list. Entry point will be app.js, and then we can just enter through the rest. Alright, so that'll create a package.json file. Now I'm going to open this with Sublime. Let's just snap that to the side there. Alright, now what I want to do is install our dependencies, and we're going to be using this Node CouchDB package, and it gives us pretty good documentation on how to use it, how to create databases and documents and so on. Alright, so let's go ahead and install our dependencies. npm install, and we're going to want Express. We're going to want body parser, EJS for our template engine, and Node-CouchDB. Okay, and we're going to add -- save at the end, and let's run that. Alright, so that's all set. Now what we want to do is create our app.js file, and I'm going to add that folder to Sublime so that we can access our files quickly. Let's see, Couch Customers. Alright, and let's create a new file and save it as app.js. Okay, now we're going to just bring in some stuff. Let's bring in Express. Okay, we want to bring in body parser. We want to bring in the path module. Which is core module, so we don't have to install it. Alright, and then we want to bring in the Node CouchDB. Okay, so we're going to call this Node CouchDB. Actually, like that. And we want to require CouchDB. Alright, and if we look at the documentation, I'm just doing this right here. Alright, so next thing we want to do is let's create our app variable and set that to Express. Alright, let's add the view engine middleware as well as the body parser middleware. Okay, just the default middleware, nothing special. And then what we want to do is, let's create our route, our first route, which will be to the index page. So slash, and say function, takes in a request and response. And for now, let's just say res.send, and we'll say working. Alright, then we need to app.listen, and we want to run our server on port 3000, which I don't think we need those quotes. And then we'll put a callback function, and we'll just do a console log telling us that the server started. Trying to type too fast. Alright, so let's save that and see if we can run the server. Alright, so we're going to say node app. Node is not defined. Oh, it's talking about that. Oh, I forgot the quotes. Alright, so it's running on port 3000. If we go along to HTTP localhost 3000, we get working. Alright, so it's working so far. So now let's hook up the CouchDB database to Node. Alright, so we're going to use this object right here that we're bringing in. So we'll say const couch, and let's set it to Node CouchDB. And we're just going to pass in some options, and we just want the auth, which will be an object with our admin, our admin user. My username is admin. You want to put whatever you used, and then your password, and that's it. Alright, so that'll authenticate your application, or sorry, your database. So let's take a look at the documentation, and let's see. So we did this right here. Now what we want to do is let's list databases. So we'll grab that. Actually, they're using arrow functions here. I'm not going to do that, so I'm going to type it out. We're going to say couch dot list databases, and that returns a promise, so we want to use dot then. And in here we should be able to just put a function and pass in DBs. Alright, and then we're going to just console.log DBs. So let's go ahead and save, and let's restart the server. Control C to stop it. Node app. And what's this? Oh, we didn't use new. Right here, this should be new. And there we go. So it's listing all the databases, and there's our customers database. So we know that we're hooked up. So what I want to do now is we want to get all the documents from customers and then list them in the index view. Alright, so let's create a views folder. And inside views, we're going to create a file called index.ejs. Okay, we're using embedded JavaScript. And for now, let's just say hello world. And let's change this to res.render, and then change that to index. So that'll render the index view. Okay, we need to restart the server though. Okay, so now if we go and reload, we get hello world. So what we want to do is, let's see, we want this right here, get view results. So we want to create some variables. We want the database name. We're not going to do this start key, end key. We just need the name and then our view URL. Alright, remember we created that view right here, all. Alright, so if we click on all and then we click the API URL, that'll actually give us our view URL. So if we copy that, and then let's go, let's see, we'll go right here, and let's create a variable called DB name. Okay, we know that that's customers, and then we're going to create another variable called view URL, and then we'll paste what we just copied in. Now we don't need the local host and all that, and we don't even need the database name because we have it above right here. So all we need is from the underscore design over. Alright, and I'm actually going to get rid of the reduce false and the limit 20 as well. Okay, so that's it. Now, let's see. Let's look at this again. So now we want to make this get request, this couch.get. Alright, so we're going to go into where we're rendering the index, and I'm just going to replace this for now, and we're going to say couch.get. Alright, and then let's see, we're going to pass in the DB name. Let's see, I want that to be a uppercase N. So we're going to pass in the DB name and also the view URL. Alright, and then that's going to be a promise, so we're going to say dot then, and inside here we're going to put a function. Oops, let's move that back. Actually, no, we'll put it right there. And then another parameter here, which will be another function for an error, if there's an error. All right, so this one will take in error, and if there happens to be an error, let's just say res.send, and we'll pass in the error. Up here, this is going to be if it's a success, so this takes in data, headers, and status. And you can see over here, this is the same thing, it's just using arrow functions. Alright, so what we want to do is render our view render our view with res.render. We want to render index. Now we want to pass along the data that's returned. So we're going to create a template variable called customers, and we're going to set that to data. Alright, so I think that will do it. Let's also console log that data just to see what's in it. Okay, then we'll save it and reload the server. So if we go to, let's see, our index view and reload, you'll see over here, this is what we're getting from data. The number of rows, the offset, and then the rows themselves. You can see there's two objects. Okay, those are our two customers that we added. Alright, now to be more specific, let's do data, and it looks like it's in another object called data, and then rows. So let's do data dot rows. Alright, and we'll restart and reload the route, and there's our customers, John Doe and Sam Smith. Alright, so we want to pass along not just data, but we want to pass this whole thing. Alright, so then we should be able to access those inside of the index view. So let's go to index, and let's put an H3 here. We'll say customers, and let me just format this as HTML. Alright, so we know that customers is an array of objects, so we have to loop through them, and EJS gives us the for each loop to use in our templates. So syntax is going to look like this: customers dot for each. Let's see, yeah, go like that. Now in here it takes a function like that. Alright, and then we have to end this line with those tags, and then this we have to wrap in tags as well. Now inside the function we'll put a variable that we want to use. We'll say customer, that makes the most sense. And let's actually wrap this in a UL. And then inside here we'll have an LI. And we want to output the customer name. So we're going to use an equal sign there since we're outputting. And then we'll say customer dot value dot name. Alright, so hopefully that works. Let's go ahead and restart the server and reload, and now we're getting our customers. Alright, so we know that everything's working as far as the Node CouchDB module. We should be able to get other info as well from the customer. So if we want to format this a little bit and wrap that in, let's say, an H4, and then below it we could put a UL, and in here we could put the email address, and I think actually, you know what, we'll put the email up here, and then we know that the address is an object, so we're going to say value dot address, and let's get the street, so say dot street. Let me just double check the format. Yeah, okay. So then we'll put under that the city and the state. Alright, so save that, and since we just edited the view, we shouldn't have to reset the server. And alright, so that doesn't look that great, but you know, it works. Actually, let's remove the paragraph so we don't have that margin. Yeah, that's fine. All right, I'm not going to try to make it look good. That's not really the goal of this video. All right, so we know that we can list them. Now we want to be able to add them. So we're going to put a form up here. Let's put an H3 and we'll say add customer. And then we'll open up a form. All right, let's give this form a method of post and an action. The route we want to submit to will be /customer/add. All right, and then in here we're going to put an input type text, name will be name, and let's put a placeholder. All right, let me just make this bigger. Okay, so we have a name. Do the email. And let's see. Let's hold off on the address. Since we're using NoSQL, we don't have to have the same fields in every single document. So we'll just do the name and email for now. All right, and then we're going to put our submit. So input type submit, and we'll give it a value of submit. All right, so now we're going to submit this to customer add. So let's go ahead and add that route. In app.js, we'll say app.post since it's a post request. Okay, it's going to go to customer/add function. Okay, that'll take a request response. And then for now, let's just say res.send. And then let's get, actually, you know what? We'll put the name and email inside of variables. So let's say const name. And we can get it with request.body.name. Request.body.email. All right, and then we'll just do res send name. So just to test it out, make sure the form submits. All right, so let's just say test for the name and submit. And there it is. All right. So let's get rid of that. Now, when we submit, let's take a look at the documentation. Okay, so we're going to insert. Now we need to create an ID, and it needs to be that UUID format. All right. Now, instead of thinking of one on our own every time we submit, having to put it inside of an input or something, we can go and we can generate one with this. All right, so we're going to use this and then wrap the insert inside of the callback. So let's say couch.uuid.then, and inside here we'll pass in function, and then it's going to pass us an array of IDs. So we'll say IDs. And then we're only getting one, so we're going to assign it to a variable. We want just the 0 index. All right, so that'll give us an ID to use. Now we're going to call the insert. Okay, we'll say couch.insert, and we want to pass in here the name of the database, which is customers. Okay. Then we want to say ID, which is going to be ID. We want the name, which is coming from the variables above, and email. All right, and then this is a promise, so .then, and we want to pass in a function here. Oops. So we go like that, and then the error function. All right, and then this here is going to take data, headers, and status. All right, and all we want to do is redirect. So res redirect to the home page. All right, so let's save it and let's try it out. Okay, so we'll go to our page and let's go back and reload. What did I do? All right. So let's try to add a customer. We'll say Tom Wilson. Email, let's say T Wilson at Gmail. Submit. Couch.uuid is not a function. It should be. Oh, it's not UUID, it's unique ID. Alright, so let's change this. Unique ID, like that. Alright, let's save and try it again. Alright. Submit. Now what? Cannot read property street. Oh, okay. So in our view, we're asking for the address and we're not submitting it. So it's giving us this error. All right. I think it should have got submitted, I think, if we go back. It's just not showing it. Let's check out, let's look at it in Foxton. Customers and let's see. Docs. Yep, Tom Wilson. So he did get submitted. The only issue is it's looking for the address and we don't have one. So I think for now what we'll do is just take it out of the view. Okay, save that. Alright, so there we go, Tom Wilson. And we'll just add another one. Let's say Jeff Sampson. There we go. Alright, so we can now add customers. Now you guys can go and do the add the address if you want. You'll have to add more fields. I just don't want to waste too much time doing stuff that is just that's just repetitive. Alright, you're not going to learn anything new if I go through and just add the address. So now what I want to do is I want to be able to delete these. Alright, so normally what I would do is make a delete request to the server using Ajax or something like that. But I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to do a post request to do the delete. So we're going to just add a form. Let's see. We're going to add a form under each customer, which will just be a submit button to make a post request to the delete route. Alright, so let's do form, and we'll add a method of post. Action will be, let's see, customer / delete, and it's also going to need the ID of the customer. So we're going to put that here, like customer value _ ID. All right, and then let's see, in this form we're just gonna oh, actually, you know what, that's not gonna work. It has to be customer, I think customer.key. Let me just try that out. Save it, reload, and then I'm just going to look at the source code. Alright, good. So you can see it goes to customer, delete, and then the ID, or the key. So let's put a submit button. submit, and for the value, I'm just going to put an X for the value since it's a delete button. And then we also need to pass along the rev. So for that, we're going to do a hidden field. So let's say type hidden. And let's see, value is going to be customer.value.rev. Okay, and then the name, we'll set that to rev as well. All right, let's just check that out. Do a Control U, and nope, that didn't work. Customer.value.rev. Let me just look at the database real quick. So there's the rev. Now we need to look at the view that we're accessing. So let's see, we should have included it here. Rev doc._rev. Alright, so we should be getting it in our response. Which it is, it's right there. So why isn't it showing in there? What am I missing? Oh, we forgot the equals. That's all. Okay. Let's try that again. The heck? What happened? I stopped the server? Alright, good. So now we're getting that rev value. So now we need to create the delete route. So let's go back to app.js and we'll say app.post. It's going to go to customer/delete/:id. Okay, that's going to take in a request and a response. And then in here, let's see what we're going to do. We're going to get the ID and the rev. So let's create a variable called ID, and we can get it through the parameters. So request.params.id, and then the rev comes from that hidden field. So that comes from the request body since it's in the form. .rev. Alright, and then we're going to call, if we look at the documentation to delete a document, it's couch.del. Let's do couch.del, and we need to pass in the database. So customers, actually, you know what, we've been passing in the actual name. We have a variable for that, so let's use that. Alright, then we pass in the ID and then the rev. Alright, so again, it's a promise, so we need to add .then, and we'll add our function. Let's put that on a new line. Okay, then we're going to have another function in case there's an error. Alright, so for this, what we want, we need to first of all pass in the data header status. And then we'll just do a redirect because we're just deleting. And that should do it. Let's restart the server. And let's see. Alright, so let's go to Jeff Sampson, delete. Cannot post customer delete. Why not? Let's see, app.post customer. Oh, I don't have the slash. Let me just check the form. Customer delete and then the ID. Alright, so that should work. Yep, good. And reload, and he's gone. So now we can add customers, we can read them, we can delete them. I'm not going to do the update. I'm going to let you guys do that because I don't want this video to be much longer. And I think it's a good challenge. You just need to include the ID in the rev. You could either create a new form for the update, or you could insert the data in here. Alright, so I'm going to leave it at that, and hopefully that helped you guys out and taught you a little something about CouchDB. Please subscribe if you're not subscribed, leave a like, whatever you can do is great, and thanks for watching.